guys, it's Jerningam here. Why is the Brexit backstop so important for Northern Ireland and Britain? Basically, if you guys have never been to England before, or Britain, Northern Ireland, there was conflict back in the olden days. Like there was a war there in Northern Ireland, and Southern Ireland used to have wars going on. The Catholics used to fight against the Protestants and the Catholics. Back in the olden days, there was loads of war in Ireland. Basically, what I'm trying to say is they're worried if the conflicts might happen again with this Brexit thing with Ireland. Because they're split into two at the minute. One side's Catholic and one side's Protestant. The troubles may start again because of the Brexit, because they can't find a Brexit deal at the minute. They said this last year as well, when we were supposed to be leaving the EU March last year, and then it was April. Then they backdated it again, and now it's this year. It's supposed to be October the 31st. We're leaving the EU, 2019. Boris Johnson didn't get a deal today at Germany with that lady. I can't remember what the lady's name's called. What's the lady's name called here? Merkel. Lady Merkel didn't get. The lady Merkel talked to her and listened to Boris Johnson's speech, and Boris Johnson listened to Merkel today in his speech in Germany. And tomorrow, Boris Johnson's going to France, I think, to try and get a backstop deal. I don't know where this country's going. We've got 30 days until Brexit. Will it happen? Is Boris Johnson the right person for the job? Some people say that Boris Johnson is the right person. He's like Winston Churchill, if you ever heard that saying before. Some people call Boris Johnson a clown, other people call him the Mayor of London, which Boris Johnson was the Mayor of London. But anyway, I think Boris Johnson can probably get us out of the EU, but Jeremy Corbyn's still got his plans trying to stop Brexit and have the customs union. I don't know why he's doing that. It's very annoying for you guys, so probably understanding it. And Jacob Rees-Mogg, and you got other people trying to do plans. Boris Johnson trying to pay a lot of money for the aeroplanes and stuff. But anyway, I'm going to get into the video. Hope you've all enjoyed me talking about this situation. I'm a bit tired, as you can see my face. I've been gaming all day and yesterday and showing little films on TV and YouTube. And anyway, I'm going to put you onto the film now. I'm going to press play and start it off. Let's get into it.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson is coming to Berlin today to try to persuade Chancellor Angela Merkel to reopen Brexit negotiations. Johnson is calling for the so-called backstop for the Irish border to be scrapped, but so far, EU leaders have rejected those calls. The backstop is an insurance policy to avoid a hard border between Northern Ireland, which is
and the Republic of
the
Ireland
UK,
and Britain.
Republic of Ireland. But it would involve Northern Ireland remaining in the EU customs union, which Johnson's claims would be a violation of British sovereignty. And the fear is that a hard border on the island of Ireland would reignite the decades of conflict known as the Troubles. DW's Terry Schultz reports from Northern Ireland's capital, Belfast.
One of the most popular activities these days for visitors to Belfast is a Troubles tour.
We had 137 people hospitalised. There were horrific injuries. There were people with multiple loss of limbs.
Guides like Paul Donnelly navigate what's called a history of terror, but many fear history could be repeated. Deadly clashes between Protestant supporters of British rule and Catholics wanting to unite with the Republic of Ireland were largely ended 2 decades ago by a power-sharing deal known as the Good Friday Agreement. But now the looming prospect of a no-deal Brexit could mean the return of checkpoints along the Irish border. And that has people like Donnelly warning that former anti-British guerrillas, known as dissident Republicans, might abandon the peace process.
That's the danger of a hard border. It gives dissident Republicans a contemporary justification for their violence. You know, it's not just ideological. It's saying this isn't abstract anymore. Look at those posts along that border. This is differentiating what they see as this part of Ireland from the rest of the island. You know, and they're
Worries over a hard border and the loss of other EU rights are compelling even some former pro-British loyalists to consider the once unthinkable, uniting Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. The Good Friday Agreement means Northern Ireland can take a vote on doing just that. Belfast's new Lord Mayor, John Finucane, wants to make sure citizens are well educated about their options, while hoping they'll back unification. His party, Sinn Féin, openly lobbies for that. It's a cause that colored his life. He was just 9 years old when he saw his father, a prominent Republican human rights lawyer, shot dead by pro-British paramilitaries. Despite getting death threats himself as he took office in May, Finucane believes the time is right to move forward.
No deal Brexit doesn't automatically mean that unification will happen. But what I do think is that it means that the conversation has to happen, because the conversation has already started, not just from people within the north, but people all over the island of Ireland, and certainly within Europe as well.
50 years after the bloodiest period in Northern Ireland's history, a time memorialized by so many walls and gates around this city, no one I spoke with believes that addressing the question of a united Ireland
Some American ladies talking about Ireland, see?
into that kind of sectarian conflict. At the same time, no one is completely confident it won't. Billy Hutchinson, a city council member from the Progressive Unionist Party, served 16 years in prison for 2 sectarian murders. Hutchinson says he's rejected violence, but he's worried others haven't.
What I'm concerned about is that people will try to use a result from Brexit or a result from the border vote as an excuse to start another war.
At Queen's University Belfast, Professor Colin Harvey says people are anxious about the possible impact of unification, but also frustrated with Britain.
The British government has behaved recklessly and irresponsibly in relation to this region for some time. People look at what's happened in Britain around Brexit, and it's been a shambolic, utter, disastrous mess. The British system seems to be falling apart, and I think there's a real feeling on this island that we need to maturely and sensibly manage and plan a conversation, and whatever the outcome is, find a sort of agreed way forward.
Recent surveys suggest most people in Northern Ireland prefer to stay part of Britain for now. But those who want a united Ireland say they're in no hurry, expecting a chaotic Brexit to help their case.
That report by DW's Terry Schultz, who joins us now from Brussels. Good day to you, Terry. Boris Johnson, he'll be in Berlin in just a few hours to talk with the German Chancellor. Is there still time for negotiations? October 31st is drawing very close now.
Well, technically, Brian, obviously, we're at the end of August. There are a couple of months until Johnson says the UK is leaving the European Union, deal or no deal. The question is really whether there's any willingness, and so far we haven't seen any. Remember that he doesn't just have to convince one leader or 2 leaders. All 27 EU leaders would have to agree to reopen the withdrawal agreement, and none of them are willing to do that at the moment.
Okay, you're saying there's no movement on in terms of the EU, but before the meeting with Johnson, we've just heard what could be taken as a possible signal for some kind of movement from the German Chancellor. Let's take a listen.
If we get a practical arrangement on how to preserve the Good Friday Agreement while still defining the borders of the European single market, we would no longer need the backstop. This means we will think about practical solutions. If you have the will to find solutions, you can do so quickly. The European Union is ready to do that. But we do not need to reopen the withdrawal agreement. That's a matter for the future relationship, and I think we will act together.
Okay, no reopening negotiations, as you mentioned, Terry, but it looks like there could be some room on the backstop. What do you make of that statement?
As you might be doing, because again, all 27 EU leaders have to agree on any arrangement. And don't forget, one of those leaders is the Irish leader, the Irish Prime Minister. And Ireland is absolutely not going to agree to anything that puts up a hard border if there's any alternative, which no deal doesn't leave any alternative for that at the moment. So I'm as curious as anyone else to hear what Chancellor Merkel might suggest as a solution to this, because if there was one, if there was an easy, practical solution, God knows how many months we negotiated on this. It seems like we would have heard about that by now.
Okay, so we'll have to find out later today what that's all about. After the meeting here in Berlin, Johnson's heading to Paris for a meeting with Mr. Macron. What can we expect there?
It's interesting that Boris Johnson is heading to France and Germany before he visits his nearest neighbor of Ireland. But yeah, this is an effort, of course, to get the two arguably most powerful leaders in the European Union to signal that they are willing to compromise, to signal some room for maneuvering. But at the moment, neither of them have done so. And I'm sorry to be repetitive, but you just can't get away from the fact that all 27 EU leaders, including the Irish leader, would have to be willing to make any sort of compromise on the withdrawal agreement. And Boris Johnson saying himself that he's not going to compromise, and with the British Parliament having rejected the withdrawal agreement that exists 3 times, I think that there's a lot of euphemistic statements going around, but I just don't think there's any room for compromise at the moment. And everything that I hear, including in Northern Ireland, seems to be heading towards a hard Brexit, and that means possibly a hard border.
Okay.
Well, that was interesting. Interesting indeed about Ireland. Very interesting. Think away, think. Well, guys, see if anything else we can show in the video, or that's about it for now. So, this is another short video. Hope you've all enjoyed it. About, let's have a look. Backstop. Why Britain backstop is so important. Anyway, thank you for joining me. See you on the next one. And please like, comment, subscribe, share these videos with your friends. And do some more videos later. Take it easy, guys. Have a great night. Peace. Back again soon. Don't worry. Peace.